Imagine this. You're sitting across from someone on a date. They smile, they say all the right things, and for a moment you think, this person is perfect. But something feels off. A pause that's a second too long. A smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes. A story that shifts ever so slightly when repeated. What if I told you that in just 4 seconds you could spot the cracks in their mask? That with the right checklist, you could unmask a manipulator before they weave their way into your life. Tonight, I'm giving you the tools to see beyond charm, beyond carefully chosen words, and straight into the truth. Because in the world of dating, recognizing deception isn't just a skill, it's survival. The Four Corners second rule. First impressions are often dismissed as unreliable, but science and experience tell a different story. Within the first 4 seconds of meeting someone, your subconscious picks up on microexpressions. Body language shifts and vocal tone variations that can indicate deception. These fleeting cues happen so quickly that your conscious mind might ignore them, but your instincts register them immediately. The key is learning how to trust and refine those instincts. When someone is being deceptive, their body often contradicts their words. A person might say, "I would never lie to you," while subtly shaking their head in disagreement. They might insist they're confident, yet their voice wavers slightly, betraying uncertainty. These inconsistencies are where the truth hides. A genuine person's gestures, tone, and expressions align naturally. A deceptive person, however, has to think too much about how to appear sincere. The trick to spotting this in 4 seconds? Watch for immediate inconsistencies. Does their smile vanish the second they think you've looked away? Do they blink too much or too little? Is their voice unusually controlled or overly eager? Trust the instinct that tells you something is off. Those first few seconds reveal more than minutes of conversation ever will. The art of the mask. Deceptive individuals don't introduce themselves as dishonest. Instead, they craft a persona, one carefully designed to reflect exactly what you want to see. They listen closely, not to understand you, but to mirror you. If you love a certain book, they'll claim it's their favorite too. If you mention valuing honesty, they'll assure you they've never told a lie in their life. It feels like fate, like an instant connection. But in reality, it's a well-rehearsed act. This mirroring is a psychological trick meant to lower your defenses. When we see ourselves reflected in someone else, we naturally feel more comfortable, more trusting. But true connection isn't about perfect alignment. It's about authenticity. A genuine person will have their own quirks, their own opinions, even when they differ from yours. A deceptive one, they will shapeshift to keep you hooked. To spot this mask, change the rhythm of the conversation. Ask unexpected questions, shift topics abruptly. Observe how they react when they're caught off guard. A truthful person might pause to think, but a manipulator will scramble to maintain the illusion. Their mask isn't built for unpredictability, and the cracks will show if you're paying attention. Emotional echo versus emotional void. Emotions are the essence of human connection. When we interact with someone genuine, our emotions naturally sync. Laughter is contagious, sadness is met with empathy, and excitement is mirrored in their energy. But with a deceptive individual, something feels off. Their responses lack depth, their smiles feel rehearsed, and their sympathy seems like an act. This is because genuine emotions come from within, while manipulative people often imitate emotions rather than truly feeling them. They observe and mimic, but their reactions don't quite match the moment. Imagine sharing a deeply personal story, and instead of a natural, heartfelt response, you get a calculated, almost scripted reaction. Too perfect, too polished, lacking warmth. The test? Look for emotional timing and emotional depth. A real person doesn't just say, "That must have been hard for you." They react with visible concern, altered tone, and genuine engagement. A manipulator, on the other hand, provides just enough emotion to seem convincing, but never enough to truly connect. Their responses feel empty, like an echo instead of a heartbeat. Verbal chess moves. Words are powerful, but how someone speaks is often more revealing than what they say. A deceptive person carefully selects their words, not to express truth, but to control perception. They think of conversation as a chess game, where every move is calculated to keep you from questioning their intentions. But if you know what to listen for, you can spot their strategy before they even realize they're being watched. One of the biggest red flags is over-explanation. Honest people speak directly. They give answers that are clear and to the point. But a deceptive person? They tend to overload you with details. Instead of saying, "I was at a friend's house," they'll launch into an unnecessary narrative. "I got to Jake's place around 7:30, but then his roommate Sarah was making dinner and she asked me about my new job, so I started telling her about it. And then we watched some Netflix, but not much because Jake's Wi-Fi was acting up." The goal? To make their story sound airtight. So airtight that you wouldn't think to question it. But genuine memories don't require such rehearsed detail. When someone provides too much information too quickly, it often means they're trying to sell you a story, not tell you the truth. Another tactic is deflection. Instead of answering a direct question, they'll subtly redirect the conversation. Ask them, "Where were you last night?" And instead of a straight answer, they might respond with, "Why are you asking me that? Don't you trust me?" Or, "Wow, I can't believe you think I'd lie to you." These responses aren't answers, they're diversions. The goal is to shift the focus from their actions to your reaction, making you feel guilty for even questioning them. This technique puts you on the defensive, preventing you from noticing that they never actually answered your question. Then there's the missing pronoun effect. Deceptive people often distance themselves from their own words by avoiding personal pronouns. Instead of saying, "I didn't take your phone," they might say, "Would never do something like that." Instead of "I was at home," they say, "Stayed in last night." By removing the "I," they subconsciously separate themselves from the lie, making it feel less personal and easier to tell. To unmask a manipulator, observe how they handle questions. Do they give clear, concise answers, or do they flood you with unnecessary details? Do they respond directly, or do they deflect? Do they take ownership of their words, or do they distance themselves from them? Pay attention and you'll start to see the patterns. Because when it comes to deception, the words themselves may lie, but the way they are spoken always tells the truth. The ultimate test, time and pressure. Deception thrives in the moment. A manipulative person can craft a flawless illusion in short bursts, charming, convincing, and emotionally engaging. But the one thing deception cannot withstand is time and pressure. The longer a lie is sustained, the more cracks begin to show. The real test of truth isn't how well someone can convince you in a single conversation, but how consistently their words and actions align over time. One of the biggest indicators of deception is story inconsistency. A manipulator relies on rehearsed narratives, but even the most skilled deceiver struggles to keep their stories perfectly aligned when retelling them days or weeks later. They may slightly alter details, adjust timelines, or contradict something they said earlier without realizing it. This is because truthful people don't have to remember a script, They simply recall events as they happened. A liar, however, must keep track of what they said, to whom, and when. And the more a lie is repeated, the greater the chance of inconsistencies slipping through. To spot these inconsistencies, don't confront them immediately. Instead, take mental notes and revisit topics later in casual conversation. Say they told you they had dinner with an old friend last Saturday. A week later, bring up the friend's name. "Oh, how's Mark doing? What did you guys talk about last time?" A genuine person will recall the conversation naturally, while a deceptive one may hesitate, struggle to recall details, or shift the story slightly. If you notice subtle changes, like a different restaurant, an altered timeline, or a forgotten detail, it's a red flag that they weren't being truthful in the first place. Another powerful tool is unexpected pressure. When someone is lying, they are mentally prepared for the questions they expect you to ask. They rehearse their answers, ensuring their story sounds convincing. But what happens when you introduce an unexpected element, something they didn't prepare for? This is where their deception begins to unravel. Imagine someone tells you they spent the weekend at their cousin's house. Later, you casually ask, "Oh, what was the name of their dog again?" If they hesitate, stutter, or suddenly seem unsure, that's a telltale sign that their story wasn't genuine. Small, seemingly irrelevant questions create cognitive strain for a liar because they weren't part of the pre-planned script. This same tactic works in relationships, asking for details in an unthreatening way and observing how smoothly or awkwardly they respond. Beyond inconsistencies and pressure, there's another crucial test: actions versus words. A manipulative person relies on words to shape reality, but their actions often betray the truth. If someone tells you they value honesty but consistently hide things from you, their behavior speaks louder than their words. If they claim to respect you but subtly undermine you in conversations, their actions reveal their true character. The key is to watch what they do, not just what they say. Pay attention to how they treat people when they think no one is watching. Do they charm you but show coldness toward others? Are they kind to you in private but dismissive in public? A person's true nature isn't in grand gestures or eloquent words. It's in the small, everyday choices they make. Time exposes the truth in ways that words never can. Lies require maintenance, consistency, and constant adaptation. But truth stands firm, unshaken by time or pressure. If you want to unmask a manipulator, don't rush, observe, take mental notes, ask subtle questions. Let time reveal what words try to conceal. Because no matter how well someone plays the game, eventually the truth will always win.